देवाय ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम राम राम। Hare Krishna. Very good evening to all. So this is after a long time we are meeting to continue our discussion on the topic of the 5 potent forms of devotional service. So this is the 5th and the final session. So we will have a, can you present Jyotsna? So we will have a quick recap of what we have done in the past 4 sessions. So not this one. The PPT on appreciation. So we have covered altogether 4 potent forms till now. What are they? Does anybody remember? Does anybody remember what are the 4 that we have completed till now? Yeah? Okay, what are the 5 potent forms of devotional service? Okay, we'll have a quick recap of that. The Chaitanya Charitamrta speaks about there are 64 different forms of bhakti. Of 5 are most important. So what are those 5? Can everybody please mute yourself? Yeah. You're saying something, Kavya? Next slide. Yeah.
Mataji, Mathura Vas.
Yeah, Mathura Vas is one. Yeah.
Deity worship.
Deity worship, yes. Yeah. Yeah, actually Tulasi Devi actually comes under Mathura Vas only, because wherever Tulsi is worshipped, that place transforms into a dham. So that's the reason we have covered exclusively about the glories of Tulsi Rani and how to take care of Vrinda Devi at home. So yeah, so worshipping Tulsi and Mathura Vas is the same. So somebody said chanting, deity worship, Mathura Vas, 2 more.
Devotees Association Vaishnav.
Sanga, yes, Devotees Association. That's what we're going to discuss. And what's one more?
Srimad-Bhāgavatam reading.
Bhagavatam.
Scriptures.
Exactly. So this was our last session was about the glories of Srimad-Bhāgavatam. And today we're going to discuss about appreciation. Next slide. No, previous. Before this. Okay, fine. So in regard to sadhu-saṅga, so we will have different types of discussion today. We will try to appreciate what the dynamics of associating with devotees, and followed by, we will try to learn about some exemplary dealings we come across in the amazing scripture of Chaitanya Charitamrta. So first we will start with a short story. Okay, I will tell a short story, and this is about the importance of caring for each other in a group. Okay, so this I will tell in the with the medium of a short story. So once, can you show that story for us, Jyotsna? Yeah. So once upon a time, there lived a rat in a house. Okay. So all of a sudden, this rat was alarmed. So why it was alarmed? Because the house owner, the owner of the house, has brought a mouse trap. Okay, he brought a mouse trap. So it was afraid, it was really afraid, it didn't know what to do. Yeah. So this is the rat, which was so alarmed by the mouse trap. So what happened next? It went to the farmer. It went to the his friend. Yeah, he had 3 friends, very, very good friends. So one of the friend is a hen, another friend is a pig, and another friend was a buffalo. So all of them are his friends. So this rat, because it was really so afraid of this mouse trap, because it was such a big threat for its life, it went to the hen and it said, "No, my dear friend, see what has happened. The farmer has brought a mouse trap and I might be caught any moment." So the hen said, "It's your problem. Yeah, it's not my problem. It's a mouse trap. It's meant to trap you. So I'm not really bothered about it." So this is what the hen said. Then the mouse was like, okay. And then it went to its next friend, the pig. It said, "You know what? The farmer, he has brought a mouse trap. And it's such a serious threat for me. I might be caught any moment. Please help me." The pig said again the same thing. "It's your issue. I'm least concerned. So handle your own problems." So this is how the pig reacted. So this time, the mouse was really disappointed. Then it went to the buffalo, the big buffalo, and went and appealed to the buffalo. "Please listen to me. You're my good friend. The farmer has brought a mouse trap and I might be caught any moment. And I really need your help for this." The buffalo said, it didn't even care about the mouse because it was so small. It said, "You have to handle your issue. It's your problem." So in this way, all the 3 friends, they didn't actually, not just, extend to help the mouse. They didn't even bother to acknowledge the pain of the mouse. So what happened after some time? Actually, the mouse trap that was set in there, because of the trap, a snake got trapped into that mouse trap. Yeah, a snake was crawling by and its tail got stuck in the mouse trap. Yeah, you're seeing in the picture. And that's how a snake got caught instead of the mouse. So what happened because of that? The farmer's wife walked in and to check if the mouse has got trapped. And she didn't realize that there's a snake there because it was dark. And the snake immediately bit the farmer's wife. So as a result of which the farmer's wife collapsed and she became bedridden. So when she was bedridden, the farmer, in earlier days, they used to have very unusual kind of medications. So one of the medicines for snake bite was chicken soup, that is, some broth made out of the hen. So for that, so what did the farmer do? Oh, she's so unwell, my dear wife, I have to cure her. And I immediately need some fresh chicken soup. Thinking that, the farmer goes to the shed and he brings the hen, cuts the hen and kills it and makes the chicken soup and gives her. But still the farmer's wife does not recover. So, and not just that she didn't recover, to see her, because she was getting sicker and sicker, to see her, all the guests started, pouring in. So to feed all the guests, the farmer didn't have sufficient money. So he killed the pig. So finally, one day the wife passed away. So they had to announce a huge party. I mean, party in the sense, no, I'm sorry, not a party. And invite all the guests and serve them food. So to actually at her funeral. So to serve food at the funeral, the farmer went and slaughtered the bull. So in this way, all the three died. The hen, the pig, and the bull. So what do you understand from this? What lesson can we learn from this? Yeah, it's a short but a very powerful story. How do we apply this in our own life? Yes. Does anybody want to add any insight? Yes. What do we learn from this story?
If we don't, Hare Krishna Mataji, if we don't solve in the beginning, and if we don't solve somebody's, it may come to us also.
Yes, exactly. So if we consider things that, especially in a team, this is a killing agent in teamwork. Yeah, whenever we're doing teamwork, and if we do not consider the problem of a team member to be our own problem, or if we give a deaf ear to their problem, it's within no time, it actually comes back to our own self. Yeah, and in the process, on the other hand, if we extend to solve, I will tell you the practical way of looking at it. So many a time some devotee comes and says, I'm facing this issue, I'm facing this problem, I'm facing this difficulty in my devotional life. So there's a tendency that we say that it's not my problem, it's your problem. Yeah, and you're suffering from it. I am an exception. Yeah, we always have a tendency to think I am an exception. It will not happen to me. Yeah, we always think sometimes there are so many pastimes, so many stories that are told so frequently in our classes by different devotees. Yeah, especially all great saints. If you see the whole Bhagavatam or the Mahabharata or Ramayana, any of these books, so many stories are spoken. Why? What is the reason for all these stories to be told? Because it is through these precedents, it's called a precedent. Precedent means something that has happened in the past. Through these precedents, a lot, very powerful lessons are communicated. And the intelligent people are those who take notes of these lessons and they apply in their life and they protect themselves from great calamities. I'll give you a small example. So, when Lord Kṛṣṇa, after this whole event of helping the Pandavas with the construction of the Indraprastha hall, in Khandava Prastha. there was a huge celebrations at the inauguration of the Indraprastha city. It was so beautiful. It was so amazing that this city, which Krishna ordered Vishwakarma to build, it was so amazing and fascinating that in the aerial view, it looked equivalent to Amaravati, which is the capital city of Swarga. It was such a fascinating city. So, for the inauguration of this particular city, so many Devi, Devatas, and a lot of people, celestials, so many people have come. And Krishna was personally present. And it was a lot of pomp. And in the rule of Yudhishthir Maharaj, actually the whole city was flourishing. And all the people were so happy. And all of their purusharthas were increasing like tremendously. That was the power of Yudhishthir Maharaj's rule. So Krishna was personally with all the Pandavas and Draupadi, when the inauguration of Indraprastha was happening. So after the whole big celebration, Krishna was leaving to Dwaraka. So when Krishna was leaving to Dwaraka, he calls Yudhishthir Maharaj and he tells him something. He says, soon Narada Muni is going to come to your court. Yeah. And he will speak words of wisdom. Listen to them carefully and apply them in your life. With that, you will avoid a lot of calamities. So Krishna instructs this to Yudhishthir Maharaj and he leaves. So Krishna always speaks these very prophetic words. So Yudhishthir Maharaj makes a note of this. And sure enough, after a few days, Narada Muni comes to the palace of Yudhishthir Maharaj at Indraprastha. So when he comes, the first thing he asks is like, how are you? And after exchanges of pleasantries. So Narada Muni asks that it is wonderful the way you're ruling your kingdom. And all 5 of you are married to one beautiful woman, Draupadi. So how is your life? So at that time, actually, Draupadi comes. She also offers her respects to him and she takes leave. So after she leaves, Narada Muni further starts explaining the Pandavas. He says, in the past, there were 2 brothers. Their names are Sunda and Upasunda. And they had such great love for each other. But because of one woman who is named Tilottama, both of them became so rival, such rivals. And these both were such powerful demons, and they have a benediction from Lord Brahma that nobody can kill them except each other. Yeah, and he says, but there is one beautiful woman, her name is Tilottama, because of which they fought with each other and actually killed each other. So, Yudhishthir Maharaj gets really alarmed. What is the story? And Narada Muni starts explaining about Sunda and Upasunda. Sunda and Upasunda are actually the sons who came, sons of a demon who came in the lineage of Hiranyakashipu. So like they were really such very pally, very, close-knit brothers, and they ate together, they played together, and they did everything together. They shared such bond. And, and they even left to the Vindhya mountains and performed such great austerities and such severe austerities that Lord Brahma himself came and he asked, what do you want? Then they asked him for, all sorts of benediction, including immortality. So Brahma, as usual, is always put in this fix of giving immortality. And Brahma again says, may you be given all benedictions and power, but immortality I cannot give. But I can give you one benediction that nobody will be able to kill both of you other than each other. You will be able, only if you kill each other, you will be perished. If not, no force can actually overcome you. So saying this, Brahma leaves. So after this, Sunda and Upasunda, they become very demoniac and they start attacking all the places of the earth, and and they even go to the heavens to win over people, and positions. So all the heavenly celestials, they run and take refuge with Brahma. And the whole, they even attack the constellations, the moons, the stars, and all those places. So all these denizens of all these places, they flood, and they actually had to go and meet Mahadev, Lord Shiva, telling about their agony. This is how we are harassed by these 2 brothers. So they call for an emergency meeting. And at that time, Brahmaji comes. And having heard about all these notorious acts of these two brothers, he calls for Vishwakarma. So and he tells Vishwakarma, my dear Vishwakarma, this is my instruction to you. With the best of your ability, you should now make a masterpiece. Masterpiece of all women. She should be so beautiful that no mortal on this earth will ever be able to resist her, being tempted by her. So Vishwakarma, he very soon makes a masterpiece and he names her Tilottama. And so she was so beautiful that nobody could turn off their eyes and nobody could maintain the tranquility of their minds except for Lord Shiva. So when she was made, she, shyly, she walks to Brahma and she asks, what is my mission? So Brahma says, you go and you should enchant those two brothers, Sunda and Upasunda, and they should become so tempted that fighting for you, they should kill each other. This is your mission. So she says, yes, consider the mission done, and she walks away. And she actually, Sunda and Upasunda, they were all in their pleasure riots, drunk and totally intoxicated. So when they see Tilottama, they actually get very attracted to her. And they both start, approaching her with all lusty motives. And they say that, Tilottama, you're mine. Then Sunda says, she is mine and she is your superior. Then Upasunda says, no, she is mine and she is your sister-in-law. So like that, they fight with each other. They first shout at each other and then they start fighting with each other. They start giving blows. And then they actually take maces. They take very huge weapons and they start hitting each other so badly that within no time, they're like fully oozing out gallons of blood from their bodies. They were very powerful demons. And after some time, all of a sudden, what happens? They both were literally banging each other with the deadly weapons so hard that they just fell off. They just appeared like two suns that is, which are dropping down from the sky. So when they fell down, they actually died. So Narada Muni was narrating this to the Pandavas. And he said, this is how the two brothers who once, they lost all their love. They lost all their affection for each other. They lost all that camaraderie, everything that they shared. All why? Because of their attraction to a woman. So when Narada Muni narrated this story, immediately the Pandavas became alert. They understood, where they were heading towards. So why I narrated this story is, when Pandavas have heard this story, they never thought that, this is not going to happen to us. Because if you see Sunda and Upasunda, they are born in demoniac race. Pandavas are very virtuous. So they didn't think that, we are virtuous, they are demons. That's why they fought. So somehow we will not fight. They didn't think that way. Immediately they understood, what this can lead to, having your affection on the same woman. So immediately they make some protocols and they come to a consensus that, at a given period of time, only one of us will be with Draupadi, and we make a treaty, not a treaty, a protocol, that a policy that if anybody breaches the privacy of, Draupadi and the husband whom she is with at that point of time, they will have to go on a 12-year exile and maintain brahmacharya. So this was the policy they have made amongst themselves. And, they had certain systematic understanding amongst themselves as to how they should, divide their time and spend the time with Draupadi. So because of this, the result was that they never had any fights. If you see the entire Mahabharata, because of Draupadi, they never had any fights in their life. So this was the proactive nature of the Pandavas, that they hear some good counsel from their mentor or guide or great sadhus or sages who visit the home. And whatever advice they have received in the form of a story, they've taken it seriously and they have actually practically applied then and there and implemented it to what extent Arjuna accidentally breaches the privacy of Yudhishthira Maharaj and Draupadi. So then he says, and actually it was because of an emergency situation, because a Brahmana's cows were stolen, and he goes and begs Arjuna to save them. If not, he was literally kind of, he was crying very bitterly. So at that time, Arjuna, to give protection to the Brahmana as a Kshatriya, he had to go and pick up his bow and his weapons, which were there in the chambers of Yudhishthira Maharaj. So that's how he breaches the privacy. So because of that, he leaves. Because of that, Arjuna, what happens is he had to breach the privacy. But Yudhishthira Maharaj says it is not any breach of etiquette, because a younger brother can always come into the chambers of his elder brother. He says you don't have to go. But still Arjuna was so stuck to that policy that he says, no, nonetheless, I will go for 12 years. And he actually goes on an exile for 12 years. So this is how much the Pandavas have, taken the counsel seriously of a great sage, and they have applied it in their life. In other words, they didn't have this feeling of it will not happen to me. Yeah, they didn't have this kind of laziness or a mentality that this is not going to happen to me, or I am an exception. So this is what exactly these animals had. In the previous story, if you see, the crow, the pig, and the buffalo. So when the mouse was coming and telling them about different things, this is the mouse trap, etc., they thought that it's not going to happen to me, because I'm different from the mouse. Yeah. So in that way, in that way we see the importance of team spirit. Yeah, team spirit is understanding the importance of a team member and their needs and their difficulties, considering them our own, trying to help them out, or at least give a patient ear or an acknowledging ear. Yeah. So this is the importance of caring for each other in a group. Okay, that's what makes a group, a team different from a group. A group means everybody has their own individual agendas. But a team is when all of them are together with one goal, but they function individually well with their own identities. Yeah, just like, when a song is sung in synchrony, sometimes to produce melodious music, what happens? Everybody sings their part, but it is all happening with a beautiful synchronization. So this is what is team spirit. So we will also try to appreciate this with the example of the geese. Yeah, Jyotsna, can you show us the geese? Okay, so let's learn teamwork and cooperation amongst devotees with the example of geese. So I think if you've ever seen geese, yeah, geese is the plural of goose. Yeah, so these geese fly in a V-shaped formation. Sometimes if you go into the outskirts of the cities, you sometimes see this formation of a V, which is like, you can show the next slide. Yeah. So if you see, all these geese are flying in a V-shaped formation. And there is an interesting reason why they're flying in this V formation. It has been found that when they form this V-shaped formation, they reduce the air resistance that they are facing by 71%. Yeah. So the whole flock increases the flight efficiency by 71%. All efficiency is increased by 71%. That means they have to put in that much of less effort to actually carry out the same flight. Yeah. So compared to just one bird flying alone. So how do we understand this in our own life? So when we are in a team, when we are in a group, yeah, we are so many of us coming together and we're all headed towards the same goal. We all understand our goal is to go back to Godhead. Yeah, but individually, if we just try to fly as, individual sadhakas working on it, doing our own japa, our own thing, or our own sadhana, and we forget to associate with devotees, or we don't take the association of devotees seriously. So we have to work so much more harder throughout the journey as compared to actually going in the same direction in the association of devotees. If we are in the association of devotees, they take us where they have to go. Yeah, we don't have to exert ourselves so much. It has been our experience that whenever we are in the association of devotees, the kind of inspiration is so contagious and it's so inspiring than compared to when we are trying to do the whole thing on our own. Yeah, recently our Kavya was telling that she has been to a place at Srirangam, a small yatra at Srirangam, and she was with devotees. What kind of difference it made. You actually see all the learnings come alive in the association of devotees. Yeah, that's lesson number 1. That is, it reduces our overall effort because we are all going in the same direction. So by cooperating with one another and helping each other, we fly at a much faster pace. So, and one more interesting phenomenon about the geese is that whenever the birds are flying together, if a bird is left out, within no time this bird tries to go back into the same V-shaped formation. Why? That's because that the goose, when it is away from that V-shaped formation, it struggles to face the air resistance all by itself. Very soon it understands its struggle and the importance of being in that the V-shaped formation. How easier would it be? So soon, even if it goes back or it tries to fly on itself, it immediately tunes itself back and goes back into the V formation. So what do we understand from this? We understand that this goose, which is sometimes a sadhaka, feels that somewhere I don't need the association, I can be on my own. They feel the heat of Maya directly. Within no time they realize that yes, of course, I should not be, especially this kind of going away from association of devotee comes because of fault finding. So the devotee who rectifies this fault finding tendency and goes back into the group, again, by the method of actually appreciating their qualities, actually, regains the advantage of being in the association and gets the benefit. So the next aspect is sometimes, the bird that is flying right in front, this is the leader bird. Yeah. So this leader bird, sometimes it gets exhausted and it goes and stays behind and let the other birds form the remaining bee. So in that way, these birds also share, to continue to fly. So what is this quacking actually within our own devotees? So this quacking is actually the appreciation. Yeah, so now coming to the topic of appreciation. So this quacking of these geese to inspire the other birds to go on is what is actually appreciation. So what is appreciation and why do we need it? How many of us, yes, Kavya. So how many of us like to be appreciated? Or how many of us feel appreciation gives us strength and motivation to go on with our life with more enthusiastically? Yes, all of us, right? Yeah, all of us need appreciation, especially even amongst family members. Yeah, between wife and husband, between children and parents. Appreciation is something that does such a great magic. That is why appreciation is called a magic carpet in relationships. Yeah. So sometimes we see some relationships go to a particular level and after that, they don't go higher. They become stagnated. Yeah. Or worse than being stagnated, they even go down the lower spiral and they fall down and they are no longer existing also. Or they're existing for the sake of existing. But there is no improvement. Yeah. So why is it that? What is lacking in such stagnant relationships? Yeah. It is because this formula of appreciation is lacking. Because over a period of time, people start taking each other for granted, or the relationship for granted, or familiarity, or for so many reasons, there's a lack of this element called appreciation. So because of which, if we do not actively start investing in appreciation, then the whole relationship goes the downward spiral, wherein more energy gets into criticism. Yeah, if we are, because the mind is not stagnant, right? The mind is always active. If you're not actively appreciating a person, you're actually criticizing the person. Yeah, or ignoring the person, or being indifferent to the person, because you have to do something. So why not invest in the positive? Yeah, Jyotsna, you need to pin my video. Yeah. So as I said, if you're not appreciating positively, then it goes into the negative side of fault finding or complaining. So that is why appreciation is an active quality. Yeah, it is an active quality of not just seeing good in others, but enjoying the good qualities of others. Yeah, there are 5 C's of appreciation. Can you show us that slide? Jyotsna, you can make me the host. I will share the screen. So what is basically appreciation? So appreciation is not some kind of a psychophancy. What is psychophancy? That is a flattery. You're not flattering somebody by appreciation, or it is not some kind of a tactic to win somebody's heart. Yeah. Appreciation is something that is genuine. It's a meditation on somebody's good qualities. Yeah. When you meditate on, it takes time, to genuinely meditate on the person's, their good qualities, and to actually relish them in your heart. And when the whole thing goes on as a good process, that's when you come out of, you come out with a genuine appreciation. And it is that genuine appreciation which touches the other person's heart, not flattery. Sometimes, some people appreciate us and it really touches our heart and it really motivates us. Why? Because behind that appreciation, there is a contemplation and there is genuinity. And sometimes some appreciations are just, okay, they bounce. Why? Because they like that genuinity. So we should be conscious that this appreciation of ours does not turn into some kind of a flattery or a tactic to win hearts. We see, actually, if you see in the whole Bhagavad Gita, Kṛṣṇa addresses Arjuna with so many nice words. He calls him Gudakesha, that is, you're a conqueror of sleep. He calls him Dhananjaya, the winner of wealth. Yeah, and so many such names. Arjuna calls, Kṛṣṇa calls Arjuna. So each of the name that he calls him is actually an appreciation. Yeah, and that's how the whole, when appreciation becomes constant, then good relationships become a norm, a part of our lives. Yeah. So let me share the screen. So these are 5 C's of appreciations. Yeah, what are the 5 C's? The appreciation should be continuous, they should be constant, they should be constructive, contemplative, and conscious. So what are these 5? Continuous means it's not that, okay, yesterday I already appreciated, so, for some time I don't have to, especially happens between the inmates of a family, right? So appreciation should be continuous as much as possible. It should be constant. Yeah, constant. I mean, if I've appreciated some time in the day to day, so I don't have to repeat it again. No, it should be constant. See, in the conversation between Kṛṣṇa and Arjuna, so many times Kṛṣṇa appreciates Arjuna, and Arjuna glorifies Kṛṣṇa. Such beautiful friendship they share. Even if you read any conversation, be it the opening conversation between Sutta Goswami and the sages of Naimisharanya. The sages of Naimisharanya glorify Sutta Goswami's position so much before they begin to hear from him. So this is the etiquette. This is the culture of appreciation that has been there in all our very scriptures. And wherever this culture of appreciation is maintained, the relationships flourish. There is lesser friction and there is greater happiness and positivity. And yeah, appreciation should also be constructive. What is the meaning of constructive? Our appreciation, especially when superiors are appreciating the juniors or when we're giving the appreciation to our peers, our appreciation should actually inspire them to be a better version of themselves. That is called constructive appreciation. Now, especially mothers when they're dealing with children. Yeah, whenever the child is doing something good, catch them when they're doing something good and give a genuine appreciation. They will never forget it for the rest of their lives. Yeah, so that's constructive appreciation. Contemplative. So what is the meaning of contemplative? Yeah, it's not, appreciation doesn't mean that superficially you just speaking some nice words. It takes a bit of contemplation. Oh, let me see this person's good qualities. What is their work? What is their service? What are their wonderful attitudes? What is their positive side? It's very easy to see the faults in a person, but to actually see the positives, one requires serious contemplation, especially at the neophyte stage. Yeah. At a very advanced stage, like the Mahatmas, they cannot see the negatives of a person. They only see the positives, and it happens naturally. In fact, they see all the faults in themselves. So that is the glory of a great Vaishnava and Mahatma. But in our sadhaka stage, it takes a bit of contemplation to consciously meditate upon the good qualities of others. So appreciation should be contemplative and conscious. That means one should put a conscious effort in trying to understand the good qualities of the person. So these are the 5 C's of appreciation. So when you follow these 5 C's of appreciation, that is, your appreciation should be continuous, constant, constructive, contemplative, and conscious. So, the person who is receiving the appreciation will feel so fulfilled. They grow in their life, and the bonding becomes very, it takes the relationship to the next level. So these are the 5 C's of appreciation. So it is actually something equivalent to us, how the oyster, when a grain of sand enters in, it just closes, and after a long period, it opens, and what is seen is a beautiful pearl. Similarly, one should contemplate about the qualities of others. And when you're contemplating, pearls of their good qualities are revealed within no time. And when you share, it's such a fulfillment to your own heart, and it's such a nourishment to the relationship. So that is why appreciation is a very, very important aspect. It's a magic carpet. Yeah, it takes you to great heights in relationships, genuinely. So this is what Prabhupada says about being devotees. He said, if by following the regulative principles, you do not become devotees and you cannot appreciate other devotees, then what is the use of these regulative principles? So this is how Prabhupada has, placed the standard of, devotee, interactions. It's so important to hold that appreciation. And if you're not able to appreciate each other, what is the use of you being, big, great sadhaka? It's just some kind of a dry following of rituals. Yeah, that is why there's a beautiful book called Bhakti, an affair of the heart. Yeah, it has got something to do with the heart, not just mere following of external framework of rituals. Yeah, the framework is also important, but also what is more important is what you're constructing on that framework, and that you do with the cultivation of good qualities and good attitudes, one of which is appreciation. So we come across this dynamics of appreciation, a beautiful pastime in the Chaitanya Charitamrta. I'll just narrate this pastime and we'll finish the session. So this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Rupa Goswami. This is at Jagannath Puri, and it's a very, very beautiful pastime. So, and this pastime is given in the Antya Leela, the first chapter. It's a very amazing chapter. Actually, one has to just take a weekend off, sit with all devotees, and in a group, just read this entire chapter. It's such nectar, so relishable. But I will just tell a few aspects, few headlines from this beautiful chapter. So this was when Chaitanya, when Rupa Goswami, he has received the instructions from Mahaprabhu to write some Gaudiya Vaishnava literature. So following his instructions, Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami were at Vrindavan, so dedicated to writing great literature. Yeah, that's why they're called Nana Shastra Vichara Naika Nipunau. They are very skillful in that, bringing the essence of the scriptures and presenting them in a very wonderful way, especially for the Kali Yuga devotees. So in this, taking forward this instruction of Mahaprabhu, Srila Rupa Goswami began to write the script for a drama. Yeah. And he began to write the script, and this drama was stationed in Vrindavan. Okay, that's how he has began writing the description of this drama. And he was still thinking of the plot and how to go about it. So at that time, he wanted to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, they go to Bengal. At that time, they hear from the devotees that Mahaprabhu has already left to Puri. So Sanatana Goswami returns back to Vrindavan, and Srila Rupa Goswami goes back to Puri. So on the way to Puri, he stops at a particular village. So that village's name is Satyabhamapura. This place is still existing. So at that time, for that night, when Rupa Goswami halts in that place, he takes rest. And in that rest, in his dream, he sees actually, none other than Satyabhama Devi, who appears to him. And she tells him that, my dear Rupa Goswami, you're writing such a nice, wonderful drama. And you have to also include me and my pastimes in the narration of your drama. So saying that, she disappears. Then Rupa Goswami wakes up and he starts thinking, how do I actually do it? Because I am the drama that I am writing the script for is stationed in Vrindavan, and Satyabhama appears in Dwaraka. So how do I combine these two? And he keeps thinking, maybe I have to make the drama into two parts, and one part in Vrindavan, the other part in Dwaraka, Mathura. So he keeps contemplating that way, bringing these two episodes together. So thinking like that, he goes to Puri, and he goes to the place of Srila Haridas Thakur, the hut of Srila Haridas Thakur. So this is that place. This place is still existing in Jagannath Puri. It's a place called Siddha Bakula. Yeah, Siddha Bakula is a place where Haridas Thakur was living and has constructed his beautiful bhajan kutir. And so Rupa Goswami stays along with Srila Haridas Thakur. So at that time, Mahaprabhu, after finishing his darshan at the temple at Puri, he comes to the hut of Haridas Thakur, which he used to do on a daily basis. So when Srila Haridas Thakur sees Mahaprabhu, they offer dandavats, and Haridas Thakur gets up and he says, this is Rupa Goswami. So Mahaprabhu knew, and so Rupa Goswami gets up, offers his prayers, and expresses his joy on seeing Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu says, where is Sanatana Goswami? So he tells Sanatana Goswami, staying back in Vrindavan. And I have just come to you following the path of candies. So after that, Mahaprabhu leaves. So after some time, what happens, in this way, they constantly come and meet each other and greet each other. Mahaprabhu keeps visiting Haridas Thakur and they start sharing pleasantries. And then one day, what happens is, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was at the Gundicha Marjan Leela. So recently we have done a lot of, the Rath Yatras. Before the Rath Yatra, there is something called Gundicha Marjan. So where Mahaprabhu actually goes to a place called Gundicha and he cleans the whole place. So at that time, Rupa Goswami and Haridas Thakur, they feel so immense joy that all the devotees coming and doing Harinam, and they are nicely dancing and they're honoring the prasadam, the remnants of Mahaprabhu, and it was such a joyous festival. So after that, they go back to their hut. And when they were going back, Mahaprabhu actually comes and meets Rupa Goswami one fine day. And he tells Rupa Goswami, my dear Rupa Goswami, do you know something? The two Krishnas, one who is in Vrindavan and one who is in Dwaraka and Mathura, they both are different. Nanda Kumara. Yeah, Nanda Kumara is the Krishna of Vrindavan. He never leaves Vrindavan. He's always in Vrindavan. On the other hand, Vasudev Krishna, he is a Krishna who is in Dwaraka and Mathura, and he is not the Krishna of Vrindavan. So don't mix these two and write them as separate dramas. So saying this, Mahaprabhu leaves. So Rupa Goswami becomes surprised. I never told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu till date about my drama, but he came and he clarified. So at that time, Srila Rupa Goswami decides that he would make two different dramas, not the same. So these two different dramas are the beautiful books that we have that are available today. One is the Vidagdha Madhava and Lalita Madhava. So Lalita Madhava is the pastimes of Krishna, and that is a drama that is enacted and that is stationed in Mathura and Dwaraka, and Vidagdha Madhava is in Vrindavan, the Braja Leela. So, in this way, Rupa Goswami was so thrilled that the Lord knew what was in his heart. So this is how a devotee is. A devotee, the Lord always knows what is in the heart of a devotee. And an exceptional devotee knows what is in the heart of the Lord. So this we see when actually Mahaprabhu, after the Gundicha Marjan Leela, there is the Rath Yatra festival. So at the Rath Yatra festival, Mahaprabhu was dancing so gracefully and beautifully. And upon seeing Jagannath, he was just shedding incessant tears and he was reciting some verses, some very famous verse. Yad kaumara harasayeva hivarastayeva chaitrakshapas te chonmilitamalati surabhaya praudha kadambanila sa chaivansi tathapi tatra surata vyapara lila vidhau devarodhasi vetasi tarutale chita samutkantate. So this is the beautiful verse which Mahaprabhu was reciting, in his own heart, very softly, when he saw the beautiful form of Jagannath. So this was that separation, in the mood of separation of Srimati Radharani from Krishna. So the translation says, that very personality who stole my heart during my youth is now again my master. These are the same moonlit nights of the month of Chaitra. The same fragrance of malati flowers is there. And same sweet breezes are blowing from the Kadamba forest. In our intimate relationship, I'm also the same lover, yet still my mind is not happy here. I'm eager to go back to that place on the bank of the Reva under the Vetasi tree. That is my desire. So this is completely the mood of Srimati Radharani in separation from Krishna upon seeing him at the Kurukshetra. So, having seen, so this is the verse that Mahaprabhu was actually kind of reciting. So only one person knows about what Mahaprabhu was reciting, that was Srila Swarup Damodar. So Swarup Damodar knew everything about Mahaprabhu. But at that time, actually, Rupa Goswami also understand what was within the heart of Mahaprabhu. And going back, he actually composes the same verse. He composes this verse and he writes it on a palm leaf and he puts it on the thatched hut. Yeah, this hut that you're seeing. Yeah, in this hut on the roof, he just puts it. And he goes for his taking bath. Yeah. So at the time when he was, by the time he was returning, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually goes and he reaches out to that palm leaf which was kept on a thatched hut and he starts reading that. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu read that verse, he was in such ecstasy. He was surprised. How did Rupa Goswami know my heart? How did he exactly know what was in my heart that he composed the very same verse? So at that time, then Rupa Goswami falls at the feet of Mahaprabhu. He offers his obeisances. And, Mahaprabhu then, lovingly, hits him and he embraces him. And he goes out and then he shares with Ramanandaraya and other associates how Rupa Goswami has actually understood the content of his heart. So all the associates of Mahaprabhu start saying that, it is because you have bestowed your causeless mercy upon him. That is why he's understood what is inside of your heart and is able to express in such beautiful words. So this was during the Rath Yatra. And after Rath Yatra, there's a Chaturmas period. Yeah, right now we are going through the Chaturmas period. Yeah? We are the first month of the Chaturmas. So after the Chaturmas period was over, again, once Mahaprabhu visits the hut of the hut of Haridas Thakur. So when he visited that hut, at that time, actually, Rupa Goswami was, Rupa Goswami was actually sitting and writing down on the palm leaf. Yeah. And at that time, Mahaprabhu comes and immediately Rupa Goswami gets up and he offers his obeisances. So, I'm narrating to you all these pastimes, these are the etiquettes that are followed by Vaishnavas. Who are the Vaishnavas? Vaishnavas are those who have the super refined consciousness and exchanges, be it in the, expressing it through their etiquettes, their dealings with each other, all our personality development classes, etc. They're all nothing. When you see the dealings between Vaishnavas, the respect they share, the gracefulness they exhibit in dealing with each other, the fineness in their exchanges, it's too much. You have to read Chaitanya Charitamrta. Every detail expresses the beautiful exchanges and how they interact with each other. So as Rupa Goswami gets up and he offers obeisances, Mahaprabhu was so pleased and he wanted to see what Rupa Goswami was writing. So he immediately picks up a palm leaf that he was writing on and he sees it. And he was so thrilled. He said, "You have such beautiful handwriting. Your handwriting is just like a string of pearls, my dear Rupa Goswami." So, it's such a genuine appreciation. Imagine the Lord coming and appreciating your handwriting. Actually, the writing of Srila Rupa Goswami has been preserved in some place in Kolkata. Yeah, there is an institute called Bhaktivedanta Research Institute, Bhaktivedanta Research Center. I have visited when I went to Kolkata. There they have preserved all these manuscripts. There they have also preserved this handwritten palm manuscripts of Srila Rupa Goswami. So I happened to have the great fortune of seeing the handwriting of Srila Rupa Goswami personally with my hands. It was really, then I remembered this verse that his handwriting was like a string of pearls. Yeah. So Mahaprabhu glorifies his handwriting, and not just the handwriting, he reads out the verse. Imagine your composition, the Supreme Lord himself is reading out. And it was a glorification of the holy name of Kṛṣṇa, the beautiful verse of Tunde Tandavini Vitanate Tundavali Labhyate Karnakrodakadambini Ghatayate Karnabhudebhyas Priham Cheta Prangana Sangini Vijayate Sarvendriyanam Kritam No Jane Janati Kriyabdiramritai Krishneti Varnadvai. So in that verse, Rupa Goswami writes about the ecstasy of a chanter of the holy name. And he says, I cannot tell you what nectar the two syllables of the name Kṛṣṇa produces. But I desire to have millions of tongues and millions of ears. And when this holy name enters the courtyard of my heart, all my senses become captivated. So this is how he glorifies this verse, the holy name of Kṛṣṇa. And when Mahaprabhu is reciting this verse, Srila Haridas Thakur, who is the nāma-kīrtana, he starts dancing hearing this verse. So this is the jubilation, Pure feels when his Pure is glorified. And this is the Vaishnava dealings. No question or trace of any envy. Mahaprabhu is glorifying Srila Haridas Thakur, and Mahaprabhu is glorifying Srila Rupa Goswami, and Srila Haridas Thakur was dancing in ecstasy. So Mahaprabhu was so pleased with this composition that he invites, that he leaves the place, and after that, the next day, he comes with all his associates, all his primary associates, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Srila Ramanandaraya, Swarup Damodar Goswami, and Advaitacharya also joins. All these great associates of Mahaprabhu, they all come, and Mahaprabhu brings all of them to this hut of Haridas Thakur. And seeing all of them come to his place, Srila Haridas Thakur and Rupa Goswami enjoy. They go and offer their full prostrate obeisances. And on the way, actually, Mahaprabhu glorifies Rupa Goswami as if he had 5 mouths. He was glorifying his amazing qualities, his great compositions. And Ramanandara and Swarup Damodar Goswami, they say is that he might have composed all that because he has received your mercy, and your mercy can make even a stone speak. So we are all eager to hear. So in this way, Mahaprabhu brings all of them, and he introduces this Rupa Goswami, and Rupa Goswami immediately offers his obeisances. And so it's so wonderfully described how the whole talks go between Rupa Goswami and all the associates of Mahaprabhu. So Ramanandarai begins questioning. When the conversation picks up initially, and Mahaprabhu tells, now you recite the verse that you have composed, and Rupa Goswami feels very shy to recite the verse. So at that time, Swarup Damodar comes in and he starts reciting the verse. And the next verse, Mahaprabhu again tells him to recite the verse on the holy name. So this time Rupa Goswami recites that verse, and all the associates of Mahaprabhu were all drowned in ecstasy just by hearing these nectarian compositions. So at that time, Ramanandarai starts asking questions about the drama that the scripts that he was writing, the Vidagdha Madhava and Lalita Madhava. So Rupa Goswami, very shyly, he presents his work. And there were such very deep discussions between Ramanandarai and Rupa Goswami at a very high level of, two people who were totally drowned in ecstasy of love. And also at the same time, they were such scholars. They had such, they knew all the protocols of writing Sanskrit literature, especially their writing drama. There should be some plot, there should be a structure, there are many rules and regulations to write a script. So they were discussing at that level. Ramanandra was asking questions, and Rupa Goswami was so humbly answering all of them. And he explained all of them through different verses. First, he explained about the Vidagdha Madhava book, and later he started explaining about the Lalita Madhava book, and he tells about the various verses that he has used in composing these two dramas. And at that time, like all the associates of Mahaprabhu, they were like relishing, just making all their senses into the katoris, the vessels. They were just drinking the nectar of these verses. So beautiful. And actually, Mahaprabhu was also relishing all of them and he was glorifying. But at one place, he halts Rupa Goswami. So it was one verse where Rupa Goswami actually glorifies Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as that very same Radha and Krishna who has come as one to actually freely distribute this loving mellows to all the people without any discrimination. So he glorifies the position of Mahaprabhu. So at one point, Mahaprabhu becomes slightly taken aback because he does not like his glorification. He said, except this, I approve of all of your composition, he says. So, but to the bliss and happiness of all the devotees who were thoroughly relishing every bit of it, when the glorification of Mahaprabhu came in, they relished it even more. So on, the whole conversation goes on, and it's a long conversation. And finally, Ramanandara and all of them, they were showering accolades on Rupa Goswami for his amazing work. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gets up and he tells Rupa Goswami, my dear Rupa Goswami, go and touch the feet of all of them and take their blessings. Immediately Rupa Goswami goes, falls at their feet, seeks their mercy and blessings. And Mahaprabhu then leaves with all his associates. At that time, Haridas Thakur continues the glorification. You have received all the greatest of mercy that is ever possible. And Rupa Goswami humbly says, this is simply the mercy of Mahaprabhu and I deserve nothing. I have no role to play in this. So in this way, they continue their association in the place called Siddhavakul, and they've continued their Krishna Katha and sharing about Krishna's pastimes. So this is about, the culture. This is the reason why I shared this pastime is this is the culture of Vaishnavas, Vaishnava association. When the association is filled with mutual appreciation for each other, it is such a joy. It's such a beautiful ambience. I remember one thing. When our Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Raghunath Maharaj, when the counselor system was formed in Bombay, there was some devotee from out of India, foreign body devotee. They came to India to visit and they were seeing the various projects of Maharaj. So they understood that Maharaj has formed this something called counselor system. So what is this counselor system? Basically, it's a group of few families coming together and taking up the service of taking the responsibility of more new devotees coming. So this devotee came and asked, can you all please just introduce yourself? So each of the family were so enthusiastic to introduce the other family. So A introduced B, B introduced C, C introduced D, and D introduced E. So in that way, one is introducing the other with such enthusiasm that they were not stopping only, then, glorifying the other person, their activities, their contributions, their sadhana, their personalities, everything. And each of the counselor had such appreciation for the next. So when each was more enthusiastic to appreciate the other, the person who came from the West understood what was the dynamics of relationships these counselors shared. And he understood that this is such a beautiful system. He understood the quality of the whole community that has been formed under the guidance of Maharaj. So this is what actually can transform hearts, the relationships we share amongst each other. This is what brings in more devotees to our community. When we understand and share meaningful relationships that are founded in the spirit of and culture of true appreciation and genuine appreciation for each other, we not only attract mercy of the Lord, the Guru Parampara, but also the appreciation of people around us. It's not about how much philosophy we know, but it's what impression we leave by the kind of relationships we share. That is more a factor that attracts others to us. Okay, so this is what the little I wanted to share about the dynamics of Sanga. Thank you all very much. It's been a pleasure. And I hope this helps us in some way in conducting ourselves well in the association of devotees. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions or comments? Hare Krishna. Yes, you can stop the recording.